Hi, I'm Bridget Berry. I'm representing Poincoupee Parish Schools as Elementary Teacher of the Year, and I currently teach at STEM Magnet Academy, and I teach 5th grade reading and ELA. And the education issue I am most passionate about is teacher retention through the use of mentoring programs at the school level. Our district uses Guidebooks 2.0 as our curriculum, and we are on Unit 2, The Making of a Scientist. In The Making of a Scientist, the children read The Templeton Twins Have an Idea. We talk about the planets. We read about the planets. We also read about Isaac Newton and Galileo. And in the lesson you're going to be seeing today is lesson 20 out of 39 lessons, and we are going to be reading about Galileo and his importance, his accomplishments in science. We're going to be relating it to the process of scientific inquiry, and we're going to be talking about some vocabulary words that are specifically in the text. The children will be reading Galileo Galilei, Biography, Inventions, and Other Facts. And this passage is written by Nola Taylor Redd, and the children will be reading it. They're going to be determining unknown words, and they're going to also be looking at and examining Galileo's accomplishments, and we're going to be relating it and reflecting back to the process of scientific inquiry. Our objectives today are to read about Galileo Galilei, Biography, Inventions, and Other Facts by Nola Taylor Redd. And we're going to be determining meanings for unknown words and determining how Galileo's accomplishments reflect the process of scientific inquiry. And we've been talking about the process of scientific inquiry this unit, asking questions, engaging in a process to observe or experiment, drawing conclusions, developing an explanation, and sharing findings. And you've been doing that in Miss Peggy's science class as well. All right, after we talk about Galileo and read about Galileo in the next couple of days, we're also going to be reading about Newton, Isaac Newton, and his accomplishments as well. And after we read about both Galileo and Newton, you're going to find some evidence, some strong evidence for both scientists. But you're going to ultimately choose one based on all of the evidence who contributed more to the telescope. Now, there's hard evidence for both, and there's no right or wrong answer. However, you have to defend the scientist you chose with evidence, and it may really be up to how you see things, your perspective. How do you see the evidence, okay? How do you look at the evidence? So I'm anxious to see who you choose based on the evidence. It will have a lot to do with how you think and your perspective. So I'm excited about that. Before we start reading about Galileo, I do want to share with you a foreword from a book. This book is called Galileo for Kids. And the foreword is written by another famous scientist, Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin was the second man to step foot on the moon after Neil Armstrong. And he is a big fan of Galileo. So I'm going to read the foreword from this book. When Galileo first turned his newly invented telescope toward the heavens, he saw the vastness of the universe. He discovered the distant stars, mountains on the moon, the spots on the sun. His work extended our knowledge of astronomy by leaps and bounds. I know we're aware of the last unit when we talked about Columbus. Remember, Columbus was 1492. Galileo was born in 1564. Okay, just not even like 7 years later. And he was also Italian, just like Columbus. Okay, so the same country. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that time period in mind, and keep in mind when Galileo died, the year after he died, Newton was born. So I want you to keep that timeline in mind as we read, okay? We're going to be doing our round robin read. So we will start with person 1, and I'm aware we have one person out, so we will start in this group with person 2. And you will be reading the article from space.com about Galileo. Okay? Are there any questions? You have your pencil. I want you to circle unknown words, and I want you to underline important details. Okay? Okay, is everybody ready to start? We're going to start with person 1, and then when I say stop, we'll go to the next person. We're going to do round robin reads. Remember, when you read in groups, to help your partners who may be having trouble with difficult words, help them sound out the words, and I'll walk around as well to facilitate.
And improvements on retail skills help further understanding experiments Galileo's lifetime.
All right, great job. Stop. Next person, start.
1602, he determined time presented itself to my field, and as I had prepared for myself a very excellent instrument, I noticed a circumstance which I had never been able to notice before, namely that 3 little stars, small but very bright, were near the planet. They made me somewhat wonder, because they seemed
in magnitude. On January 8th, that means some fountain. I turned again to look at the same
All right, great job. Stop. Next person, start.
Galileo made the telescope 9 times zoomed in than it was before.
Finished. All right, now we're going to discuss some of his accomplishments. Very good. All right, I think all the groups are finished at this time. So let's do some talking, and we're going to first of all talk about some of the words. All right. The first word was a pendulum. And some of these words may not be totally new because we've been reading the Templeton Twins, our fictional novel. Some of these words have actually appeared in our novel. And the first word is pendulum. And taken from the text, at the same time, Galileo worked with pendulums. In his life, accurate timekeeping was virtually non-existent, and Galileo observed, however, that the steady motion of a pendulum could improve this, right? What is a pendulum? Raise your hand if you know what is a pendulum and help us out. Okay, it can swing back and forth, right? Very good. Garrett. Right, very good. Does anyone want to add?
swing that swings back and forth. Like it takes 1 second.
Okay. All right, time it. Keegan.
It's on one of them tall clocks
All right.
that's like that, swinging back and forth when it hits a certain time.
Owen.
How long it took for the things to fall.
All right. He could also time how long it took for those things to fall when he did the other experiment. Good. Chad.
So we can know the time.
We can know the time. All right. When I read this, I saw a connection, and I didn't exactly see a connection to this unit, but I saw a connection to the last unit we had, the Birch Bark House. Because with the Birch Bark House, we also read Pedro's journal, which was during whose time? Columbus. Which is before Galileo. And what could they not do very well on Columbus's ship, which was before Galileo's time? Chad?
They couldn't tell the time. They had to use like this little sand thing.
Right, they had to use an hourglass, all right? Anyone want to add? Owen?
And then they would have to remember to turn the hourglass, and if they forgot, it would be like a couple minutes off the actual time.
Right, difficult to tell accurate time. Keegan?
It would save them a lot of, like, remembering. They wouldn't have time to remember.
Good. to yell out the time. Didn't have those clocks. All right, very good.
After Galileo, they had somebody who dropped it from a tower and they both hit it at the same time. So that's how we know they hit at the same time and not that the heavier objects hit down faster.
Like right here, he shows that his experiments of the balls was at the same time. So when they did it at the same time, they didn't like they both fall at the same time.
He had like one ball that was heavy and the other one that was lighter, but like whenever you dropped them, they both fell at the same time.
Yes. So we can write that for the number.
Aristotle thought that the heavier object would hit the ground first, but Galileo did an experiment to change it.
Okay, and he found that Aristotle was what?
He found that Aristotle was slow and he did because when he did his experiment, Aristotle did his experiment. He thought that whenever the object is
Galileo invented that magnifying glass? Because in the text it said
That's a good question. We need to look that up.
the spyglass, but I was just curious if
There
he invented
was,
the magnifying glass.
there was like the spyglass, but we didn't. It was invented by someone else. But we never. Galileo was the first one to turn that spyglass to the sky, and he really started astronomy and the appreciation of what's in the sky and the stars. So he started, and he also took that spyglass that was maybe had a magnification of 2 times or 3 times, and he made it 8 or 9 times.
Oh,
So he said, "Hey,
It says hands look and say it made the telescope.
right." He's the actual one that invented it.
But Galileo made it so you could see it.
How would he be able to distinguish that? How would he be able to know, okay, those are Jupiter's moons and they're not other planets? How would he know that? Rylan? All right. They seem to be orbiting Jupiter. Okay. Anybody else want to add on? Otasia?
you probably see that it's way more smaller than other planets.
All right, smaller. Okay. The 4 moons are smaller than other planets. Carly?
They would be closer to Jupiter than the other planets.
Right. And they would, of course, be closer to Jupiter. Okay. Chase?
You would have to come every night and look into the telescope, and every time the moons would be in a different position around, and you have to keep doing it until the planet came back around Jupiter. So
Right, he would be looking at that orbital path. He would be watching that. Very good. All right, guys, I think y'all did a great job today, and I want y'all to reflect back on this lesson and reflect on how well you feel you did. And we use the same scale. You put a 1 if you don't think you've learned much about Galileo's accomplishments. A 2 if you learned a little, okay? And a 5, then you just exceeded this. You feel like you're a Galileo expert. You'll put 5 on your exit ticket. 4 if you're almost there. While reflecting on this lesson, I want to mention some very important things. First of all, student engagement. I did notice that all of my students were engaged, and this is my priority as a teacher, is to set the stage for engagement day 1 of the unit and build upon it, and I felt that all of my students were engaged. Second, the standards. I feel that we met and exceeded the standards, reading informational text 5.4, 5.8, and 5.10. I felt that the guidebooks 2.0 scaffold these texts very well, and the children were able to read this passage very easily because the passages have been scaffolded very well, and students had some academic vocabulary that they had seen previously. The students completed an exit ticket at the end of this lesson, and they could score from a 1 to a 5 based on their personal opinion of how they met or exceeded the objective. 67% of the students scored themselves with a 5, 29% with a 4, and 4% or 1 student with a 2.
Finally, I do want to mention, as a reading teacher, this unit is very special to me because we are at a STEM school, and the Making of a Scientist is a unit that the students really get behind at a STEM school because science is a focus. And I do add supplemental material on other scientists so the students can read biographies of scientists, other scientists from the past and of today. And this teaches the children about how these scientists not only were great at science, but were very determined individuals with grit and perseverance, and they were able to accomplish what they set out to do. I hope you enjoyed visiting our classroom today, and I hope you enjoyed the discussions we had. Thank you.